Hi, everybody. It's Tina, and I want to welcome you tonight to our cooking class. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that is probably one of the biggest expenses in your kitchen per pound. Wonder what that would be. Prime rib, lobster? Nope, it's spices. Yep. If you think about how much we pay for spices for just a couple of ounces and you calculate that all out, it is one of the most expensive things in our kitchen per pound. So today we're going to talk about a couple of different things. We're going to talk about how to save money when you buy your spices. We're going to talk about how to keep your spices really fresh. We're going to talk about what happens if you've got some spices that aren't real fresh. Where should you store them? And then I'm going to share some recipes with you that are some of my favorite seasoning blends that you can make with the seasonings that you already have rather than spending the money to pay some other company to mix them all together for you. All right. And then they have preservatives too, right? So let's get started. First thing I want to talk about is how to store your spices. And I have an amazing product, and it is our Tupperware spice shakers. So we have two different sizes. We have the little small, and we also have the large. So it depends on, what size spices that you're purchasing, of course. But a couple of things that I really like about these is that they have a little cover that opens up actually as a seal. And when you lift open the first part of it, you'll see that it's got the little holes where you can shake out. And Tupperware thinks of everything because we have the little teeth here that actually go down into those holes to keep them airtight. So listen, nice little snap. So you know that that moisture is not going to get in. And then on the other side, we actually have a larger size so that you can put your measuring spoons in there when you're measuring. And again, snap that shut. So there's a lot of ways you can store these. Some people put them in a drawer so that you can slide them out. You can have them all labeled there with the label on the top. Some people like to put them on a shelf. We have something I love, and it is our Tupperware carousel. This is the spice carousel. And I'm going to turn my screen down just so you can see this spin. One of the things that I love about this carousel is that you can put this in a square cabinet that's only got 12 inches of space and you can turn it. So it turns without having a lot of extra space on the side. So these are phenomenal for your seasonings, of course, but you can also use it for a lot of other things that you might have in your kitchen or even in your bathroom. So some of you may have a lot of vitamins, and you could put your different vitamin bottles on here as well. You could use this for some of your smaller jars of things that you have in your kitchen. So this carousel is pretty amazing. So let's talk about really how to buy seasonings to save the most money. So most people buy them in a jar, or maybe even in those little tin cans, although they're starting to phase those out a little bit. But I want you to think about this. If you will look for seasonings that are in packages or buy them in bulk, you're going to find they're a lot less expensive. And so look for stores that sell in bulk or the ones that have just a little cellophane with a little header on the very top. So much less expensive because you're not paying for the packaging. So it's good for two reasons. Number one, you're saving money because it's less expensive. And number two, you're eliminating all of that excess package that's going to end up in the landfill. Because every time you buy one of those plastic or glass jars and you use it and then it's empty and you throw it away, that's just going into a landfill. But if you buy the little cellophane packs, it's not near as much going in the garbage. And then you're going to use the same container over and over and over again. That is really going to be a lot better for the environment. And of course, it's going to be a lot better for your pocketbook as well. So I'm going to come back to a couple more tips in just a minute, but I'm going to share with you a couple of cool recipes that we're going to make today because these are seasoning blends that many people actually buy. And the first one is Italian herb seasoning. So think about that. How many times have you bought Italian herb seasoning? It's a combination of a lot of different herbs. So I have a recipe and I'm actually going to share it with you all, make it super, super easy to be able to use. So all you've got to do is get yourself a spatula, get yourself a little bowl, and then you're ready to mix all your ingredients. So this has got oregano and basil. So we're just kind of mix that up a little bit. And it also has some parsley. It has onion powder. as well. And it has kosher salt and red pepper flakes. Voila, look at that. So I've made my Italian herb and I haven't bought it because I already had basil and parsley and all of those other things. You probably have this, right? And it's the same ingredients that go into this blend. So rather than buying another blend that has something that has you already have all the ingredients, why not just mix your own together? And of course, what are you going to put this in? You're going to put it into our Tupperware spice shakers, right? All right, so that's our first recipe. How fast and easy was that? Okay, the next one is a sweet item. So I'm going to get a different spatula. And this one is cinnamon vanilla. And you might be thinking, okay, well, what is this for? All right, so this one is really good to put on your pancakes. You can put it on any kind like French toast. All of those is really great for that. Toast, anything that you would use cinnamon on is also perfect with this because it's just got that little hint of vanilla. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix together our ingredients. We have regular sugar, and then we have brown sugar. So let me go ahead and stir that up and get a nice little mixture, both of our sugars. And then the next ingredient, so now this is looking a little light brown. There we go. The next ingredient that we want to put in here, believe it or not, is a little kosher salt, just a little tiny bit, not much. And we're going to mix that up. And then we're going to go with the next ingredient, and that is the cinnamon. So I've got my cinnamon. How many of you already had cinnamon at home? You know, speaking of cinnamon, have you ever tried cinnamon in your coffee? Pretty delicious. So try that the next time you're having a cup of coffee. Sprinkle a little cinnamon on top. You could actually use this as well, be a little sweeter. Okay, so now it's a darker brown because we've got that cinnamon, that sugar, and that brown sugar. And the last ingredient in this, I didn't have, but I have something, in my opinion, that's just as good. So it talks about taking a vanilla bean and scraping out the insides, which is pure vanilla. But not too long ago, Chris and I took a trip and we bought some Tahitian vanilla. Look how dark it is. And so I know usually vanilla is a liquid form, but this is powdered vanilla. So I'm just going to put that inside of it. So it's kind of like scraping that bean out, but it's already in a powder form. All right. And now we have this yumminess ready to go inside of one of the larger containers, our spice shakers. So that's our second one that we made. All right, next is something everybody loves. Well, like not everybody, almost everybody, but this time of year it's pretty popular. This is your pumpkin pie spice. So, like everybody loves pumpkin spice lattes. I mean, everything, right? This is the time of year. I saw a lot of Facebook posts not too long ago. People were talking about how it's already pumpkin season. So some of you may have a very strong opinion of that. Chat that in for me. I want to know who our pumpkin lovers are. So this one has got 7 different ingredients, but I'm making small little batches of this. So the first one is sugar. And then next we have a little bit of salt and ground ginger. So now I'm going to go ahead and stir this one up. So use this spatula right over here. And next we're going to add cinnamon. Whoops, here we go. I'm going to get all my ingredients here. Got our cinnamon. And that's going to be a little bit harder to mix in there because that was a lot. So now you'll see me stirring this together. So just get yourself a spatula. You don't need big bowls. You could use a big bowl if you wanted to, but I just use a bunch of little bowls because I usually make a whole bunch of these up at once, except every once in a while I'll run out of one of my favorite ones. And then I have to make that like in the middle of my batches that I usually do. It's easier to do this all at one time. Okay. And next we have a little nutmeg, a little clove, ground clove, and a little allspice. delicious. Ooh, making me sneeze. Okay, and now we have got all of our ingredients all mixed up. And again, this is ready to store inside of one of our spice shakers. All right, so we just made 3 different spice blends. How cool is that, right? So before we move on to, I've got another one that I want to do for you. Let's talk a little bit about where to store your spices, because probably one of the biggest mistakes people make is they put them above their stove. There's like cabinet like right above your stove. Sometimes it's above a microwave nowadays, but that is not a good place. Neither is the cabinet right next to your stove, but that's where we all put them because it's convenient, right? But there's so much moisture there, and that is one of the worst things that you can do. And even if you've got it in an airtight container, the pure heat that is around that area is just not a good idea. So when you're thinking about where to store your spices, it's best if it's in a cool, dry, dark location. So try to avoid next to the refrigerator, next to the oven, next to the dishwasher, because they put off an extremely large amount of heat, and heat is not good for your seasonings. But what do you do if for whatever reason, because you stored it someplace where it wasn't supposed to be, your seasonings are not shaking. They're like clumped, right? So the first thing we look at is like, oh, I just got to throw that out because it just isn't any good. And I want to encourage you to not do that. I'm going to give you a couple of simple tips of what you can do. First of all, just get yourself one of our little Tupperware fry pans with a nonstick surface. Put it on very low heat. Please don't walk away when you're doing this because it literally only takes about a minute and a half. And put your spices that need to be refreshed in there and stir constantly, constantly. And you are going to watch the moisture disappear. And all of a sudden, boom, you've got your seasonings renewed, and you can put them right back because you know what, seasonings will last in many cases 2 to 3 years. And so as long as you store them in the right place, you're good to go. But that's the beautiful thing, is you can kind of bring them back before. And I've had to do that because sometimes I am guilty of not storing them in the right place. So that is a great way to bring those back. All right, now let's go to the other one. Now this one, I bet you everybody that's watching has bought this at least once, if not on a regular basis. And that is ranch. How many of you buy those packages of ranch? Or maybe you buy the large container of ranch seasoning. That's a little bit less expensive to do it that way. Instead of buying the little envelopes that are for, one recipe, you can buy those great big ones. But again, there's all that plastic. And the thing is that you can make your own ranch seasoning blend. And in most cases, you probably already have these seasonings already on hand. There may be a few things that you don't have. And so in that case, you're going to probably have to invest. So I'll tell you what that one is. All right. So the first one is dried parsley. All right. So let me get my dried parsley in there, all ready to go. And then we have garlic powder and onion powder. So I bet you guys all have that, don't you? All right. Let me get my little spatula here, and we're going to mix that. You want to mix it almost after every addition. It's easier to make sure you get a good mixture going. All right, so we've got parsley, we've got garlic powder, and we've got onion powder. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to add some dill, dried dill. Now, I always have dill on hand because I make my own pickles. And so you have to have dill for that. You could use fresh dill for pickles, or you could use the dried dill. I'm going to stir this up just a little bit more. There we go. All right, now I'm going to add all my dill. Stir that all up. And then here's the one you may not have, and that is chives. All right, so then I have dried chives to add inside of there. So you may have to invest in that, but it's less expensive to invest in that dried chives. All right, and now we've got all the yumminess that you need. And you're going to be like, okay, it's a totally different color than when I buy it in a package. And it is, because usually it's got so many things in it that you can't even pronounce. But if you add this to your sour cream, you're going to be ready to go. You can put this with your a little bit of sour cream and mayonnaise is the best thing to mix this together. You're going to have the yummiest dip ever. Yum, yum. So boom, we're done. Now I've got two more I already made, and that's because I just made them not too long ago, and then I thought, oh shoot, I'm just gonna save these because I needed them. So I thought I'd save them for this class before I put them into my storage container. So this one is Chipotle. So I don't buy packages of like taco seasoning mix or all of those. I make my own Chipotle seasoning. That's part of the recipes that I'll be sharing with you. And I sprinkle that on the ground beef or ground turkey or chicken or whatever it is that I'm making. And again, it doesn't have all those preservatives in it. So read the packages of those mixes that you're buying because it's got all kinds of words that are hard to pronounce. And you know what? You don't want to eat those. So when you're mixing together the pure seasonings, that's all you're getting is the seasoning. So this is my Chipotle. And then this one I love. And it's actually called Steak and Chop. And it is designed for steak and chops, but it is fabulous on vegetables. I have put this on broccoli and green beans when I'm steaming them, and it is delicious. So it should be steak, chop, veggies. I'm going to rename this, but I love this. And we use an awful lot of this when I made a great big bowl of this because we use that a lot. So I have recipes for you all. So I just want you to comment down below. How many of you feel like, okay, I would spend a little bit of time mixing my own seasonings together to not have the preservatives, to really save money. And also, here's the really great thing is it eliminates a lot of the things that you have to buy. You can really drastically cut all the number of things that you're buying because you don't have to buy all the blends. You're just mixing together what you have. And of course, the key is to make sure you've got our fabulous spice shakers, whether you use the small or the large half cup, a full cup, depending upon how much that you're making, depends on your family size and how often you use those different seasonings. And of course, we've got the fabulous carousel on here as well. So thanks so much for joining us tonight. Don't have anything to actually feed you or let you smell, but I'm going to tell you, this all smells pretty delicious to me because I can smell all the different seasonings. So thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.